Hey, how are you? This is Bill Latka with Storylicious. We create web content, social media, and active websites and web pages to get your community fired up. I have a few videos that I want to talk to you about right now about how to operate NationBuilder, how to run NationBuilder. 3 videos. The first one, this is going to be how to create a NationBuilder page. We'll talk about all the different page types. The second video will be how to modify and change content in your NationBuilder on the back end. And the third one is how to send emails, how to select people, and how to send emails to your constituents. So let's get started. All right, so here we have NEMIAC. It's an environmental organization in northern Michigan, a website that we just created using a public theme. So this is what the page looks like when you're not logged in, but you need to log in to be able to operate the back end of NationBuilder. So you can do it by 2 ways. You will have your username and password, which you received from the administrator of the site. You can do one of 2 things. You could scroll down to the bottom and you'll see here, sign in with Facebook, Twitter, or email. I recommend signing in by email. That will take you to the login form right here. Now in the future, another way to do it, I'm going to back up on the page. Another way to do it is simply after the URL, you type in /admin and then enter that, and that'll take you to the same page. So this is your login screen. I have my stuff saved here in a form, so I'm going to go ahead and enter it to get myself logged into this site. And there we are. When you log in, the first thing you're going to see is this status page. This is basically all the different things that you can do with your nation. Now, depending on what kind of permissions you have that your administrator gave you to operate the back end of NationBuilder, you may or may not see all these tabs. The ones that we're going to be concerned with in this series are dashboard, people, website, and communication. Now, finances is where you're going to be able to find anything to do with donations. Settings are the overall settings to the site and how the whole nation works, including if you have multiple websites attached to the nation. We only have one in our case. But you may or may not see this depending on your permission level. Live site is where you can click and it will open in a new tab your site. So that's a good way to kind of see that without having to type anything in. I'm going to close that for now. And what I've got here is our dashboard page. Let's just take a really quick look at this. You can set up goals for how many members, how many volunteers, how many donors, and how many supporters, or anything else that you might want to measure over time. And that's going to be a different sort of a setup in a different video. Activity will show you everything that's happened recently on your site. So these people, emailed, this person did this, somebody liked something on Facebook. This is just really for your information. Under growth, you can see based on all the kind of things that you can follow here in NationBuilder, including recruiters, fundraisers, donors, volunteers, and supporters. So over time, you'll see this thing populate. Finance will show you the people, the contacts. Calendar is not something I personally use very much, but if you have an event, this will show you all your upcoming events. And then this will generate an annual report based on what's been happening in your nation. So that's good to know. So let's go ahead and move over to the website, because this video is really going to be about creating a new page. So when you hover over a website, a menu drops down. If you have more than one site, you'll see more than one site here. But we only have one, so I'm going to click on the name of the site. That takes us to the main control panel of the website. Each one of these underlined links here represent a top level page in your nation. I'm going to go click over to the live site and open it in a new tab. If you see across the top, we have our issues, what's up, environmentalist of the year, about us, and donate. You're going to see those same things here: home, what's up, about us, issues, donate, and environmentalist of the year. Now, this blog here is actually unlisted at the moment, so that's why it doesn't show on the front end. These other pages are not really in use by this nation at this particular time, so we can kind of ignore these. You can also see the status of each of the pages here. You can see this one says unlisted. These are published. And this is known as the slug of your nation. So this goes after the domain in your URL up in your address bar here. Home is the only one that does not have a slug at the end of it. It's just home. It's just your basic domain. But what's up, about us, issues are up here. Let's click on what's up. And we're going to see right here after the /, here's the domain. But after that, you're going to see / and the slug of that particular page. Slugs are how the pages are displayed here, and they give you the links. So that's the basic overview of this. We're going to get more into this when we see the next video about changing content. But let's talk about creating pages. Right across the top here, here's the basic things that you can see in your page. And once again, you may not see all of these things depending on your admin level. But pages will show you all of the pages. Your top nav shows you all of the things that are up in your top navigation bar, which is this thing up here, right? Supporter nav is you have special in some places on your website. You may have a sidebar that shows you a supporter nav or something when people are logged into your nation. When they're a supporter, they're logged in. It's the navigation, so it's called a supporter nav. And this is a way to add links that you want to feature for your supporters. So for example, we have an Environmentalist of the Year link. We have our issues listed in the supporter nav. And right here, this is an example of the supporter navigation. Here's the Environmentalist of the Year subnav. This is called the sidebar over here on the right. Over here, we have our issues. And these are the two subnav or the two supporter navigation items that we have. Okay, now, so after that you have tags. This is a list of the tags that are available on your pages. You can see comments, social media stuff, SEO. This is stuff that you're not really going to have to worry about that much. So let's go back over to pages so we can see all of our list of pages. Next, we're going to go click on New Page. When you click on New Page, you have some choices to make. You want to name your page. I'm going to call this the New Page. When I tab out of this field, when I hit Tab, it's going to create a slug. So make sure that you like the name of the slug and make sure it makes sense. I'm going to erase this for a second and show you an example. If I have something that says Bill's page, it's going to convert any of the odd characters, any of the special characters into underbars, which kind of like will mess up your slug a bit. So if I tab out of this, it says Bill underbar S underbar page. I might want to go ahead and change the slug and get rid of that underbar and just call it Bill's page like that. You cannot put a special character in a URL. So it's either going to be letters, numbers, or underbars, and that's your choices. So like I said, let's erase these again, and we're going to get back to just our new page. So there you go. So the status, you can automatically publish a page when you go ahead and after you save this, it'll automatically publish, or you can leave it as it is unlisted, which will basically make the page live on your site, but really not available to the public until you're finished with it, until you publish it yourself. Now, NationBuilder has all sorts of options for what kind of pages that you can create. So let's go through these really quickly, and NationBuilder has a great description of what each page does. So I'm going to talk about the ones that you might use initially to get your nation going, but then if you need more information, you could check out the link. So let's go down. ActBlue is a donation page. If you have an ActBlue account, this is a way to accept donations. And it's only specifically for ActBlue. There are other ways that you can do donations and then set your own payment processor. Activity Stream is something that I don't normally use, but it's a Facebook style news feed of activity that's happening on your site. The one that we use most often for content is a basic page. And this is what it says, basic, nothing, just plain HTML, which is the markup language that controls the web. You may or may not need to know any HTML to make this site work. Your theme really handles most of the formatting. If you want to do anything special, You might need to know a couple things in HTML, but by and large, you should be able to get by with just entering text and count on your theme to sort of make the display of the page. So like I said, whenever you have a page that is just essentially just content, pictures and text, then a basic page is probably the way that you want to go. A blog page is something that can have posts, unlimited authors, comments, extended entries. This is something that you would have if you had a news page. So the landing page of a blog style news page would show you all the headlines and photos from each one of the entries. But then when you click on it, you go to a blog entry. So this is very similar to WordPress, the idea of a post in WordPress. So this is a great, like I said, a great thing to do if you're going to create something that has to do with news, or if you have articles that you're continually updating. Whenever you add a new one, all the other ones move down a notch, and the newest stuff is at the top. You also have a way to be able to pull in content, some of these news stories onto your homepage. That's something that we can talk about later. A calendar is a listing of upcoming events. So there is a way to have users submit events, but usually in our nations, we have the admin do that and add the events, or have somebody responsible in your organization to add those. But this would be a new calendar. Now, the thing is about the blog and the calendar, if you have existing blog or a news page or an existing events page or calendar, then you will be entering those events or those articles underneath that existing page. The only reason why you would add one like this is if you're going to be adding a new news/blog page or a new events calendar. If you have other stuff, you're going to go right to that other page, and you'll see how to do that in the other video. I'm going to skip by directory. A donation is something that you're probably already going to have set up on your page by your web designer. So if you need to add another kind of donation page, this is where you would do it. An endorsement page is something where somebody, either an individual or organization, can make an endorsement for some kind of content. With an endorsement page, we use these for a couple different things. If say we want to have somebody sign a thank you card, or if we want to have somebody become an organization that supports your organization, or a church group that wants to support your organization, you can create separate endorsement pages for each one of those groups. And then when people come, what they do is they will basically say, yes, I endorse this. You can call it whatever you like. You can change the name of the endorsement. And you can it's a great way to collect signatures or new people to come to your nation when they endorse your things. So that's something you can play with. An event is something that is going to go underneath your calendar. This is something we'll get into in a little bit later. Those are the main things that we use, really. Oh, there's one more thing here, which is a petition. Happens all the time on NationBuilder sites. You have a petition you want somebody to sign, and this is a good way to do it. This sort of is automatic formatting. You enter the information for the page, and it will appear on your site wherever you place it. You can read the description of each one of these pages, but another thing that you might want to do is have a redirect. Now, this is a sort of a tricky thing. Not tricky, but it's a very useful thing. If you have a page that becomes outdated and you want to take it offline, say you have a petition that becomes old and you don't want to collect signatures on that petition anymore, but you don't want to just hide that page and if there are links out there on the web and people are still coming to your page or your website looking for that petition, you can redirect them to something else. Either, hey, we removed this petition, how about this? Or just send them to your next petition. Because a lot on the internet, links have a way of living for a long time if they're on somebody else's page, and you don't want to lose that traffic. So this is something to think about as you create new pages. You want to be able to capture all of that old traffic that comes in, and a redirect will allow you to do just that. What you do is you rename the old page to something that is out of date, like say underbar old at the end of the URL, and then you create a new page with the original name of that petition, and then you can redirect traffic that comes in from that page to another page on your site, or another page somewhere else completely, even another website. So the rest of these things are all pretty much self-explanatory. So let's go ahead and create a basic HTML page, and I'll show you how all the things are that you can do on that. So this one's called New Page. Like I said, we gave it that name. We're going to leave it unlisted for now. It's a basic HTML page. Down here, you have the option to set these right now, or you can change it later, obviously. But you can include this in your top nav. The top nav is this, the navigation bar. The nav is just short for navigation. So if you check that box, it's going to appear up here in your top navigation. And conversely, if you want, you can stick it in the supporter nav by checking this box. I'm going to leave that off for now, but let's leave that in the top nav for now. And then your final checkbox, you may or may not see this depending on how your nation is set up. But if you do see this, and if you don't know anything about HTML, probably not something that you're going to want to deal with. But this is the way you create a custom template. If your page is hooked up to Dropbox, let me just stop for a second and tell you about this. This is a way for web developers to edit the template of a page, which is how the information is, the template controls how the information is displayed on your page. If that doesn't make any sense to you, then don't worry about it. But if this is a way right here, when your nation is hooked up to Dropbox, which is a way to share files among other users, this is a way to create that custom template so that you can use a text editor to go and edit the template. If that doesn't make any sense to you, ignore it and don't check the box. You're fine. So I'm going to click on Create Page, and this is what happens. You come to a blank page. Let's do this for fun. I'm going to go ahead and publish this page just so that I can see it on the front end of my website. I'm going to right click on this, or I'm going to, on a Mac, I'm going to control click or command click rather. And if you're on a PC, you can control click, and that will open the link in a new tab. That way you can see it. So I'm going to do that. This new tab opens up, and there is a basic empty page. There's nothing there. And we see it's in the top menu here. So because we checked, put that in the top nav, right? So this is basically an empty page. It's showing me this information here because I'm logged in at the time. And this admin panel, this may or may not show depending on what your theme is set up to be like. But when you're logged in, you may see something like this in your sidebar. Now, this is the content area here. Over here is your sidebar. You have control over what you're going to see when we create this page. So let's go back to the basic part here of the page, and let me just take you and show you some of these things. This is going to be a representative image of the page. This is something that is set site-wide, and when you change this, it will change here. And I'll show you how to do that. Here's the name of the page. This is the link to the page. This is when it was published. The author, that's me. I'm following this page. Anytime anybody makes a change on this, I'm going to get an email that says either somebody commented, somebody changed it, somebody signed the petition if it's a petition page. This is how you can be involved with your nation from the back end by checking this box. And if you don't want to be receiving all these emails, you can click unfollow. These are tags. Tags are a way for you to organize the information on your site. Your theme may or may not allow you to display tags on the front end. This particular nation does. Let me show you what that is like. I'm going to add a tag to this. I'm going to call this page, just for fun, I'm going to call it trees. And I'm going to add a tag. So when I reload this page, this tag shows up on the front end of the page. If I were to click this as a front end user, I could see all the pages that have this trees tag. It looks like there's another one called What's Up, and this new page are both marked with tag or with trees. This is a way for you to organize your information for front end users of your site. For now, I'm going to delete this tag by checking this little X box right here. Across the top, these menus exist on every single page. So you have your dashboard. A dashboard is basically what's happening with your page. This is a way for you to quickly share your page. If you're hooked up to Facebook, if your website is hooked up to Facebook, you can share your page from here. If you're hooked up to Twitter, it'll show here and other services. And you can enter your information here and then click on post. It will post automatically to your to the social media site from this page. So that's pretty handy. Down here is the activity feed, and this could be populated by quite a few different things. But this shows you basically what's been happening with your page. If somebody likes it on Facebook, it'll show up here. If somebody shares it, it'll show here. If somebody donates to a donate page, it'll show here. So this is just really for your information. Settings is the first thing that you see here. There's a sub menu. So be aware that these menus down here are sort of contextual based on what you've selected on this row. So these tabs are the top ones, and then these are a sub menu. So let me just take you really quickly with what these all mean. So settings, you have page settings. This is the name of the page that appears on the menu. So new page is what is appearing here on this menu. The slug is the name of the URL that appears after, oops, I got to get back to this here. We're still looking at an old page. Right here, this slug is what appears after your URL, after a / and then the slug. This page is a subpage of. This is where you move pages around to be underneath different menus on your site. So if I say this is a subpage of home, and then I click on save, when I reload this page on the front end, I'm going to close this tab. When I reload this page on the front end, that disappeared, but guess what? It's now here because now it's a subpage of home. So this is how I can get to that page now, right? So I'm going to go back to the control panel, remove this for now. This is what, and then this title. And if you'll see that there's this little asterisk here, that means it's required, okay? It pops up there, required. But over here, this is what you will see on search engines. It tells you right there on the page. So if you had something that was, you wanted it to be a little bit more descriptive and it could be longer for search engines, you could change this to say new information about NEMIAC, the name of this organization. So that'll appear in the search engine, and this is a way to increase the legibility and the findability of your site over the internet. Headline, right here, this is the headline in a lot of, depending on your theme, but this one particularly has the headline that appears on this page. And that's right here. So if I wanted to change that to my new page, and I'll click on save. Every time you make any changes, you need to scroll down and click the save page button, otherwise you won't see it. So I did that, and I'm going to reload this page from the front end, and it says my new page. So that's how you change the headline. Next, tags. This is the same thing. If anything you type in here, it's the same thing as clicking a plus sign here and adding tags. It's just the same. It's exactly the same functionality. This status shows you, is your page published? Is it expired? Is it archived? Do you want to delete the page? Is it unlisted? You know, we already published this page, so it's already published and out to the public. Just for fun, I'm going to go ahead and unlist the page just so we don't confuse anybody that happens to stumble on the site right now, and I'm going to save it. So now I go back to the front end. It's still going to be there because I don't, well, here's a for instance. Right now it's in the menu. When I reload the page, oops, hit the wrong button. When I reload the page, it is not there. It's no longer in the menu because it's unlisted. However, because it is a page on our site and it does have a slug, it appears here. So now nobody else can find it unless they have the slug, and more importantly, people cannot find it unless if they're coming to your website and you don't want them to find it. Know what I mean? The author is here. You can type in whoever you want to change the author of the page. Sometimes these show up on your theme, sometimes they don't. But I'm going to leave that as me. This is where you can have it appear in the top navigation. Like when we created the page, you had the option to do it there. Here's where you can change it or, take it off or take it on. You could put it in the supporter nav here. That's a good way to do it. This one, show sidebar. Right now it is checked. Here's the sidebar, right? I'm going to uncheck it. Save the page. Reload the page. Now, no sidebar. It's a full width page. This is full width of the content based on what the theme is showing us. Show stream. Right here, if people were to make any comments or whatever, this is where it would show up and the stream would be down below. So if I were the first to comment and I posted a comment, that would be in the stream. Do you want to show that or not? It's up to you. You can show it or hide it here. And then allow comments. I'm going to uncheck this to say I don't want people to comment on this particular page. Save the page. Come back up here, reload it. And right now there's no comment box on it. Now, as you can see, there's nothing going on here. There's no content. So how do you do that? Oh, and by the way, here's another thing that where you can create different levels of pages depending on who is visiting your page. So anyone, that means everybody can see it. Logged in users, only logged in users can see it if you have special content. And then here you can determine if members can see it, and members is a certain level of the NationBuilder program that you have to pay extra for. And then control panel users, if only, say, your admins, you want to have something special for them. Say you only give logins to your volunteers or whatever, and you want to have some special instructions for only them. This is where you can create a page and just give it that level of detail that people can see it. Or admins, which is what you are basically if you're listed as an admin on the site. And that's something that your system administrator will do. So I'm going to leave this as anyone. I'm going to save the page to make sure that everything is saved before I move on. Next, I'm going to go to Feature Content Slider. This is where you can add an image at the top of the page. For instance, on our home page, this right here is a featured content slider. So this needs to be a certain size. You can go off what you see here and create another image that's this size. It can be really any size, but it should be, whenever you have multiple images like this that are sliding, they need to be the same size. Otherwise, you're going to have a big mess on your hands. And this is how you would add that stuff. You give it a label that only appears for you in the back end of the page. You can give it some text. This are issues or environmentals of the year. That's where you would add this. The page to feature. And this is where you would, when you click on this page, this is where the link that you enter into the slide, so that when people click on this, they go to that environmentals of the year page, because that's what it's set up in the back end. And then you choose your image, and by this you can click on choose file and navigate to where it is on your computer and upload it. Once you select an image, you click on open, it'll upload it. And then when you're finished adding a featured slider image or featured content slider, you save it down here. Always remember to save before you move on, otherwise your work will be lost. I'm going to move on to the next tab here, SEO. Usually this will pull in any of the information that you've already set from your settings page. And if you want to make anything different, you can do it here. Social media. I think I'm jumping ahead of myself because we don't have any content. However, this is where you create the image and the text that will show when you share this on social media, either Facebook or Twitter. Here, default post, this is sort of like the Twitter version, and you're only going to have about 100, how many characters is it? 116 characters. So this is going to be what is tweeted out, and then it'll add a link to the end of it. And then here is Facebook. You can make this a little bit longer. I wouldn't make it too long though. So this is the Facebook description of my great new page. And then over here, this is where you enter the image that's going to be shared. If you do not add an image, it's going to have whatever your default image is of the site. And in this case, it's the site's logo. I would highly encourage you to create an image and put it up here, because posts with images really make a lot more sense on social media. So as a rule for Facebook and for Twitter, you should create, especially for Facebook, make your image 1200 pixels wide by 630 pixels tall. That's this sort of share image that you see on Facebook. And it's you have to create that image in another photo editing application. And if you can't get exactly that big, it should be at least 800 pixels wide, for whatever image you do choose. And just know that Facebook will crop whatever image that you stick in here to that aspect ratio, that 1200 by 630. So if that's all gumbly and mumbly, doesn't matter. This is something that you should try to figure out how to do. Once you're all done with that, you click Save Social Media. Then when the page is shared on social media by you or somebody else, the proper image will show up and it will encourage people to click on it. Next, let's get to the content. Content right here is where you enter your information. So this is the page's content. So this is where I'm going to stop, and we're going to pick this up in the next video, how to enter and change content. When you go to all the other different page types that we talked about at the beginning of this video, they all have different features. And to be honest, I'll show you the link again to where you can go to NationBuilder and see what each one of those pages do, because if I tried to describe right now, this video would go on forever. And NationBuilder happens to have a lot of good information on their site. So that's the basics of how to create a new page and how to start entering content. We'll get into much more detail in the next video. So thanks very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, go ahead and click like or subscribe, and down below. Otherwise, have a great day and happy webbing, whatever that means. Bye-bye.